Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. Gonna give you a quite a broad overview of the article here. I'm not going to go through absolutely everything. There is a link in the description. I'm really going to treat this as a bit of a talking point, as an opportunity to reflect in regards to the subject of solitary confinement. That's pretty much the broad context of this article. More specifically, it's in regards to this teenager on the left here. His name Aiden Fucci. Aiden Fucci, if I pronounce his name correctly. He's been accused of stabbing 13-year-old Tristyn Baily on the right-hand side. She was found deceased with 114 stab wounds. 114 stab wounds. 13 years of age, Tristyn Baily. Aiden Fucci, 14 years old, is the accused. So he hasn't yet faced a trial. Technically, he could potentially be found not guilty. Don't think that's very likely. But, he hasn't yet faced a trial. But he is being housed. So he was arrested and he is in prison. Not only is he in prison, but he's in solitary confinement. And he's been in solitary confinement for more than 400 days. So this article is telling us that Aiden Fucci's defense attorneys have filed a motion requesting that the 14-year-old Aiden Fucci be moved to a less restrictive environment or a new facility altogether. So Aiden Fucci's defense lawyers are arguing that being placed in solitary confinement is detrimental to his mental health, and that being placed in solitary confinement for such a lengthy period of time, 400 days, was akin to torture. The defense attorney reminds us that he hasn't yet been convicted of a crime. Yet being the key word. I guarantee he will be convicted of the crime. But it is fair to say that he hasn't been as of this point. So just in regards to this, I kind of agree with the defense attorney in what they've said, that 400 days in solitary confinement, I'm no expert, but I would imagine that for anybody, regardless of their age, that would be torture. That would be torture. I mean, that's how it's largely viewed, isn't it? Solitary confinement is largely viewed as torture to some extent, as likely to leading to mental health issues, madness, for those that are held in solitary confinement for a lengthy period of time. And this, a 14-year-old boy, I would think that the younger somebody is, there'd be a tendency for the risk of mental health issues occurring due to being in solitary confinement for such a long time. I would imagine that the risk would be heightened. So I agree with the defense attorney that, yeah, 400 years in solitary confinement's a very long time. Torturous, sure. May lead to mental health issues. I agree. It may. But at the same time, it is what it is. It is what it is. The guy is a prime suspect in an absolutely horrendous murder. Tristyn Baily stabbed 114 times. Seemingly, the police are very confident that the prime suspect, the accused Aiden Fucci, is guilty. He hasn't faced a trial yet, but I would have a lot of confidence that the police, the investigators, everybody concerned has all of the information, all of the evidence that they need to lead in due course, in due time, to a positive prosecution of Aiden Fucci. That would be my take on it. Could be wrong. Doubt I will be. So, to me, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. 400 days in solitary confinement. Sucks to be you, Aiden. Sucks to be you, boy. Perhaps it is torturous on you. Perhaps it's leading to mental health issues. And if it is, don't give a flying hoot, buddy. You're there because it's extremely likely that you took the life of an innocent 13-year-old girl, that you stabbed her 114 times. You murdered her in an absolutely brutal, horrendous way. And you're suffering the consequences of that. And that's just how it is, and that's how it should be. Why is he being kept in solitary confinement? Mostly for his own protection. Mostly so that he's not in general population and attacked by other inmates. That's the reason. That's the primary reason. There's been a lot of media coverage in regards to the murder of Tristyn Baily, and a lot of people share my opinion that the police have got their man, have got their boy. And the other inmates, there's going to be some of them that don't really like the idea of a 13-year-old girl being stabbed 114 times. A lot of the inmates might feel that they have a little bit of beef with Aiden if they suspect that Aiden's guilty, as the police do. So he's been kept in solitary confinement for his own safety. That's the reasoning. The reasoning isn't to keep him in solitary confinement to torture him. That's not the reasoning. The reasoning is to protect himself, to protect him. So anyway, there's been a hearing. Ultimately, the judge has rejected the request for Aiden to be released from solitary confinement. The judge has also rejected the request for Aiden to be moved to another facility. Ultimately, the judge has said, hey, look, guys, we trust the prison officials. We trust that they're looking into this situation adequately, that they're monitoring the situation closely. We trust that the prison officers, the authorities within the prison environment, have Aiden Fucci's interests at heart, if that's the right term. Probably isn't. But they're being responsible. They're looking after the inmate in question. And if the prison officers feel that the best course of action is to keep Aiden Fucci in the current facility that he is in, as well as continue to keep him in solitary confinement, then the judge says, that's fine. We'll just go with what the authorities within the prison environment believe is the best course of action. So, I don't know. There we go. That's the situation. What's my thoughts on it? As I say, my thoughts are that it is quite horrendous, 400 days of solitary confinement. Yeah, I can imagine that is going to, pardon the expression, fuck somebody's brain up. I don't know what exactly that would cause, but, madness. I mean, that's what we're kind of told, isn't it? That solitary confinement leads to madness, where humans, we require socialization, we require social contact with other humans, and the denial of that leads to our brains going all kinds of weird and wonderful directions, and ultimately leading to madness. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases. So yeah, I get the argument that it's not good for him to be in that situation, but he is in that situation because of what he's been accused of doing. And he's been accused of doing things likely because that's exactly what he did do. So he doesn't get any sympathy from me, really. Maybe he gets like an ounce of sympathy. But I'd agree with the judge on this. I'd agree with the judge. Look, you got prison officers, you got prison officials. They're not trying to purposefully torture this murderer, potential murderer. They're not purposely trying to do that. They're just trying to do what they feel is appropriate in regards to his overall safety. There's been concerns about his suicidal ideations, his threats to himself, the potential of him causing harm to others, others causing harm to him. So it is what it is. If he didn't want to be kept in solitary confinement, perhaps he shouldn't have taken the life of Tristyn Baily, if that is indeed what he did do. So there we go. I'm not sure if this has been the best video, but it is what it is. So I'm going to wrap things up here. Take care.